Hey guys. All right. Give me a hello in the live chat for anyone who has joined. All right. Who's joined us? Hi, Angel. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Okay, so for this lesson, we're going to be looking at common phrasal verbs. 10 common phrasal verbs that we use in English. So these are some of the most common phrasal verbs that you will hear native speakers use. But these phrasal verbs are probably some that you may not have heard before or you may not have learnt. Sometimes we see lists of the common phrasal verbs or the most used phrasal verbs in English, and it's usually the same types of phrasal verbs that we always see, and we're not learning new ones. So I thought for this lesson, it might be good for us to learn some common phrasal verbs that English speakers always use, but you may not have heard before. Okay? So let's go ahead and start by first of all, I want to give you a few tips. So again, just to get the most out of this live lesson, make sure that you take notes when learning these new phrasal verbs, either on a piece of paper and pen or on your laptop. Open up a document and write down these new phrasal verbs that you're learning. Something to remember about phrasal verbs, I think this is one of the most common topics and questions I get asked about is how do I learn phrasal verbs? And I think it's a little bit difficult for English learners to learn phrasal verbs because you have to learn them in context. When you see a phrasal verb on its own, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So sometimes it's really hard to try and understand what it means without the context. And even when it's in a sentence and there's context around it, you still don't really understand it. So you just need to kind of try and remember or memorize them as much as you can and try to learn them in sentences or in a certain context. So we'll try to do that in this lesson. So keep that in mind. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that some of these phrasal verbs have more than one meaning. I've decided to give you the meaning that I think is the more often used. I don't want to give you too many different meanings for the one phrasal verb because then it gets more difficult. So I want you to familiarize yourself with the phrasal verb first, and then after you familiarize yourself with it, then you can learn the different meaning. If it has a different meaning, learning a different meaning later on. I also want you to form example sentences with these phrasal verbs, and I want you to write them in the live chat. So if you've been joining our live lessons for the past few weeks, you'll notice that I really encourage you guys to write example sentences of whatever we're learning. I want you to write them in the live chat, and that way you're going to get the most out of the lesson. It's going to be more interactive and engaging for you, and you're going to be able to get the opportunity to use the word in a sentence or use the phrasal verb in a sentence, and you're going to get me to correct it for you. So it's an opportunity to get your work corrected. Okay? And also the last tip I want to give you guys is to rewatch this video in a few days to revise what we've learnt. So just make sure that you save this link, or you come back to it, you bookmark it, and in a few days come back to it. Come back to this link, come back to this video, maybe save this video on your YouTube playlist and come back to it in a few days and revise what we learnt, because it's very easy for you to forget what you've learned, okay? So just make a note of that and remember these tips that I've given you, all right? So let's get started with our first phrasal verb that we're going to be looking at. And that is to go without. All right, to go without is to manage without something that you normally have. So you might be used to a certain thing and at the moment you don't have this. So you go without it, you manage without it, okay? An example sentence for this would be, I am on a detox this week and I have gone without coffee for the last few days. All right, so give me an example sentence using to go without something in the live chat and I will have a look at it for you. Okay, so give me a sentence using to go without. What is something that you can manage without? What is something you can survive or something you can manage without having? Maybe it is coffee, like this example. Maybe you can go without your phone for a day. Maybe you can go without a car. So what is something you can go without? Let's see. If I'm going to give you guys another example, I would say I can go without a car for a week because I live somewhere where there's a lot of stores next to me and a lot of shops and supermarkets. So I don't really need a car. I go places by foot. So I can go without a car. An example that one of you guys have given me is, I am going without my smartphone to the beach. Okay, great, perfect. So here you're using the present continuous. This is almost implying that in the future, in the near future, you're going to go to the beach and you're not going to take your smartphone with you. So I'm guessing that's why you've used that tense. Otherwise, you would just say, if it's a general statement, if it's a truth, it's something you always do when you go to the beach, you'd probably just use the simple present tense. I go to the beach without my smartphone. You could probably say that. All right. Guys, if you have any other examples, please feel free to add them to the live chat. I'd love to correct them for you and check out what you guys are coming up with. There you go, coming up with, that's another phrasal verb, and we're actually going to mention that phrasal verb later on in the lesson. So just to show you guys how important and prevalent phrasal verbs are in the English language, right? We use them without even thinking about them. All right, the next one, get by. I really like this phrasal verb. We use it a lot in English. You'll hear people using it if they're struggling. Sometimes you'll hear it in music, in movies. So to get by is to deal with a difficult situation, usually with little resources. And generally speaking, those resources are often money. So to get by without a lot of money. Or it can be skills or other types of resources. An example I've given you here is when I was young, we got by on very little money, okay? So to get by on very little money. So we managed or we dealt with financial difficulties with very little money, but we got by. So we were able to overcome it or to survive it, okay? We got by. So to get by. All right, write an example for me in the live chat using to get by. Okay. I got by the hard economic in my country. Okay. Hey, Leandro, good to see you. All right, thanks for joining. So, Leandro, we're just giving an example for get by. So, feel free to give us an example using get by. Angel, so yours, I got by the hard economic in my country. So, I would correct that and I would say, I got by the with the difficult economy in my country. I got by with the difficult economy in my country. I would probably say something along these lines. Sounds a bit more accurate. Okay? I got by with the difficult economy in my country, or I got by in my country even though the economy was very bad. Maybe that's a better option even. Perfect. Fantastic. So guys, like I mentioned at the beginning of this lesson, make sure to write some examples to get the most out of this lesson and to get the most out of me as well, so I can correct things for you, and if you have any questions, I can also answer them. All right. Next one, to cut down on. Now, this phrasal verb, I should also say, we could also use to cut back on. So both are correct. We've got cut down on, or we've got cut back on. Both are correct. All right. Great examples, Leandro, great example. Angel, great example. Well done. Great examples. Okay, cool. So for the next one, to cut down on or to cut back on, both are correct. Notice they both have on at the end. Okay, the only thing that changes is down or back. So we cut down or we cut back, but both have on at the end. This means to reduce the consumption of something, such as, for example, food, purchases, spending, etc. So to reduce some of our resources, okay? An example could be, you need to cut down on the amount of sugar you consume if you want to lose weight. Okay? So that's one way that we can use cut down on, right? To talk about to cut down on the amount of something. You need to cut down on your expenses if you want to save money. That's another example we could use. Yep. I need to cut back on how much I am spending because I am not able to save any money at the end of the month. Another way we can use it. All right. Give me some examples, guys. What are some examples? You can give personal examples, you can give examples of other people, or they can just be creative examples. But I really want you, the aim of this is to practice using them. I need to cut down, don't forget to, I need to cut down on the amount of cholesterol I consume in my food. Great example. Perfect. Really great example. I like that one. Just make sure, guys, like I said, I need to. Make sure we're adding to here. All right. Let's look at the next one. To bring up. All right, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this one before. To bring up something means to introduce a new topic or mention something. All right? So an example of this could be, my boss brought up, notice I've used the past of bring. My boss brought up the financial problems the company is currently facing. Okay? So he mentioned, he brought up in conversation that there are some financial problems that the company is facing. Okay. So that's another phrasal verb that you guys can provide an example for. Okay. What is something that your friend, your partner, your parents, or maybe your teammate has brought up recently to you? All right. I want you guys to also pay attention to something else. While we're learning these phrasal verbs, there's also some other words or some other adjectives or verbs that you may not have seen before, and you're seeing them now. So I want you to also pay attention to those and notice how I'm using them in a sentence. So you may not have seen the word facing before used in this context, right? So it's a good way to learn some new words as well, or some new phrases. My boss brought up the financial problems the company is currently facing. What does that mean? To face something. It comes from the word face. So to face it means to look at it and confront it, to deal with it head on, or face on, I should say here. Okay? Great example. I brought up a new lesson to my students. Okay. Yes, I brought up a new lesson to my students. Good example. We could use it like that. You could also use it to talk about bringing up news or ideas or any updates that have happened, or a conversation you've had in the past, or a topic that needs to be discussed. Good. All right. To come up with. Okay. Have you guys heard this one before? I'm sure I've used it in my live lessons. I've probably told you guys about how I want you to come up with some examples, right? Guys, come up with some examples. Can you come up with any new phrases or any sentences? Or this is common to hear in English as well. It means to produce something such as an idea or a solution, maybe a suggestion or a plan. And we especially use this phrasal verb when there is a sense of urgency, when we really need to do something, okay? So an example of this could be, she came up with a successful business plan to start her online business. All right, notice how we used it. She came up with, so she produced, she created a plan on how to start an online business. Okay? All right. What is something that you have come up with, or maybe someone else you know that has come up with something? What's something that you've come up with? It could be a solution to a problem at work. It could be a suggestion or a piece of advice for a friend. It could be that you've come up with a plan for your future. What is something that you have come up with? Let's see here. So, guys, I need you, so don't forget the to here again. Guys, I need you to come up with new ideas for this business. So, guys, I need you to. We often use need with to. Okay? So, when we're going to follow need with a verb, most of the time, actually every time that we follow need with a verb, we're going to use to plus the base form of the verb, okay? I need to go. I need to drink. I need to sleep. Now, in this example here, yes, we're following it with a pronoun, but after that pronoun, we're following it with a verb, a phrasal verb. So guys, I need you to come up with. So don't forget that to there. The only time we're not going to use to after need is when we're following need with a noun or just a pronoun on its own. Okay? For example, I need her. I need my mum. I need water. See, we're using a pronoun or a noun and nothing else after it. We're not following it with a verb. So keep that in mind for the verb need. All right. I need you to come up with new ideas for this business. Perfect. Well done. Make up for. To make up for something. This means to compensate for, or to correct or improve something that was missing or something that was wrong. So if you are offering a service or a product to someone, let's say, just giving an example, and you give them the wrong product, okay? In order for you to correct this mistake that you've made or to compensate for this mistake, you may give them a credit note in return. You may send them an apology letter. You may offer them free shipping. All these things that you're going to offer them, they are used to make up for the mistake you made. So just like in this example, the store gave me a credit note to make up for the faulty product. Okay? So that's an example there. All right? So we make up for things by giving other things as a way to improve or correct our mistake. Okay? What is something you have done to make up for a mistake in the past? It could be, for example, I apologized and gave my sister a present to make up for the way I treated her yesterday when I was stressed out. Okay. I will make you up for my lack of attention. So here it would actually be better if you said, I am sorry. I will make up for my lack of attention. You don't need to put you. So I will make up for my lack of attention. Okay. Guys, does anyone else want to add in an example? Would anyone else like to add in an example for us using to make up for? All right. Let's go to the next one. To go after. To go after something. I really like this phrasal verb, and this phrasal verb has another meaning, but for the sake of understanding and not confusing you guys too much, we're going to stick to this meaning that I've put here. So it means to pursue something or someone. It's when you chase something, when you follow something that you want, that you desire. An example for this could be when you want something, make sure to go after it to make it happen. Okay? To go after. Let me check this comment here. Is it the same of apologize? Is that the same as to make up for? It is similar. Usually when we apologize, to follow up with the apologizing, we do something to make up for something else. So it's not the same. It's not a synonym of apologize. Usually make up for is an action, whereas apologize is just saying sorry. Sorry, I'll make you up for my... So for example, Leandra, you could say, I want to apologize for the mistake and I will make it up to you. Or we could say, and I will make it up, and I will make up for the mistake by sending you flowers, for example. So I want to apologize for the mistake, and I will make up for the mistake by sending you flowers. And I will make up. Okay. So you could say something like that. Let me know if that makes sense, Leandra, what I've written to you. So apologizing is like saying sorry, showing that you are upset about what happened, you feel bad about what happened. And to make up for is the action. You will make up for something by doing something else. Yes, in this case, make up for is to repair the mistake you have done. Perfect. Well done. Okay, now for go after, Angel, I can see here you've written an example. I am going after to become an astronomer. So this is good, but it doesn't make complete sense. I think you got the idea of it, but a better example is I am going after my dream, or I am going after my future job, and I am going to become an astronomer. Great word, astronomer. I like that. Okay, I am going after my dream, or you could say I am going after my future job, and I am going to become an astronomer. Good. Perfect. Make of. This one is a common phrasal verb that we use in English. You may not have heard this one before, and it might be a little bit strange to hear it, especially when I explain it to you. But keep in mind that we use this phrasal verb generally in a negative sentence or in a question. And when we use it, it's around the context of trying to understand a person or the meaning of something. Okay? So these two examples I've given you are generally how you would hear this phrasal verb being used in this exact type of question. What do you make of ... So what do you make of her statement? What do you make of his video? What do you make of the company's policy? What do you make of his email? What do you make of her text message? So it's another way of asking, what did you understand from this thing or from this person? In the negative way, you would use it like this. I don't know what to make of his behavior. So in other words, it means I don't understand how he's acting, or I don't know how to react to his behavior. I don't know what to make of it. I don't understand it. I can't really figure out, another phrasal verb, figure out. I can't really understand what he means by it. Okay? Perfect. I don't know what to make of his programming code. Great. So this is a great example, and you can definitely use it like this. Make sure, I believe programming is double M, so just pay attention to that. I don't know what to make of his programming code. Perfect. So if you don't understand his programming code, that's a great example we can use. Really, really good. Guys, give me some examples for this phrasal verb. It's a really great one, and it's not one that you see a lot, but it's very common for us to use in everyday conversation or even at work. So go ahead and give me some examples in the live chat to practice using this phrasal verb. It's okay if you use it incorrectly or if you misuse it in the sentence. The whole point is for me to correct it for you and to help you guys improve the way you speak English and improve your fluency and to make you sound more like a natural or native speaker. So phrasal verbs is a big part of that. So make sure you take advantage of this and give me some examples. Okay. Let's go on to the next one, and I will correct your examples when I see them as well. To put up with. Okay, this is another good one. This is when you tolerate or you accept something that is bothering you, it's annoying you, it's a burden or an inconvenience for you. So this is what put up with means. So you can put up with certain people, you can put up with certain jobs, with problems. There's different things and different people that you can put up with. The example here, sometimes you have to put up with certain aspects of a job because better things are waiting for you. So you have to tolerate or accept a job or things within your job that you don't like. You have to put up with them because you know a promotion is going to happen at the end of the year, or you're going to have an increase in your salary, for example. So you put up with certain things. Okay. To take after, this means to resemble a parent, or family member. This is meant to say or. So to resemble a parent or a family member, like a brother or a sister, a relative, your ancestors maybe. So an example here, it is incredible how much she takes after her mum. So I've given you this image here as an example of that. So she takes after her mum. These are a mum and daughter from the show Gilmore Girls, and although they're actors and they're not related, they have tried to make the daughter look like the mum so that she resembles her and she takes after her. Okay, so I thought that would be a good reference for you guys if you've seen the show or if you know of the show as well. So let me ask you guys a question. Do you take after your mum or your dad? Who do you take after? Let me know in the live chat. Okay. Let's see. I wonder who you guys take after. All right, you take after your dad. Perfect. Perfect, you take after your dad. You could also use it if you have children. You could say, my daughter takes after me, or my son, our son takes after his mum. You could use it either way. Fantastic. And the last one, which is a bonus. So I mentioned that I was going to give you 10 phrasal verbs. I decided to give you another one. And this is one that you may know, but you might use it incorrectly, which is why I decided to give it to you as a bonus. So when you move your eyes towards or in the direction of something to see it or to see someone, this is when you would use look at. Oftentimes I see people or I hear people make this mistake. They say, look this email. Incorrect. What you want to say is look at this email. So this is why phrasal verbs are so important. This does not make sense at all, and it's such incorrect English. Look at this. Okay, it does not sound good. I hear advanced English speakers making this mistake. So what you want to say is look at this, okay? We're going to use at when we're talking about moving our eyes towards something in order to see it. We're going to say look at. Look at this book. Look at my hair. Look at that bird. Okay? So we're going to use look at. I am looking at you always. Perfect. Really good one. Okay, so the example here, look at the hummingbird outside. It's so colorful. Okay, and I've given you an image here of the bird. It's called a hummingbird. So I know that this bird is found in a lot of different countries, especially a lot of tropical countries, like Brazil, maybe in Venezuela as well. I'm not sure. Angel, you can tell me. So I thought this would be a really good example because you could use it and you could remember not only the phrasal verb look at, but also a new vocabulary word for you, which is hummingbird. Okay, it's a very beautiful bird, and I thought it would be a really great bonus vocabulary as well for you. All right. So that is the end of the live lesson. Please let me know if you have any questions, write them for me, and I would love to know what your thoughts were. If you have any feedback, any recommendations for future live lessons, also go ahead and let me know. I also didn't mention to you at the beginning of the lesson, I have in the description of this video, I have a link to a form that I would love for you guys to fill out if you've got the time, just so I can get a bit more information about what you guys like and any feedback that you may have as well. Don't forget to also follow me on Instagram. So the link is in my description on this video as well. So follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. I also have a TikTok account that I've also put in here. And please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like this video if you thought it was beneficial. And I also just want to say thank you for joining me, and I will see you in next week's lesson. All right, so perfect. Thank you so much. English at the airport, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do that in the next lesson. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.